I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. So Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg was in East Palestine today, and here's what he said about Donald Trump's visit the day before in East Palestine. And one of the things Buttigieg pointed out was that the deregulation that took place, removing the safety features from these trains carrying toxic substances, the deregulation took place during the Trump administration. And so what Buttigieg says is, look, we own our policies, but Donald Trump shows up here and said, I had nothing to do with it. So Buttigieg says, well, if you've got nothing to do with it and you want to be helpful, can we please call for a solution? Here, play this clip of Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah. You mentioned a national political figure who's decided to get involved. It sounds like you're talking about Trump. And then you said, I need your help. How can he help?
Well, one thing he could do is express support for reversing the deregulation that happened on his watch. I heard him say he had nothing to do with it, even though it was in his administration. So if he had nothing to do with it and they did it in his administration against his will, maybe he could come out and say that he supports us moving in a different direction. We're not afraid to own our policies when it comes to raising the bar on regulation. And I've got to think that him indicating that this is something that everybody, no matter how much you disagree on politics and presidential campaigns, can get behind. Higher fines, tougher regulations on safety, Congress untying our hands on braking rules, all the other things that go with that, that'd be a nice thing for him to do.
Pete Buttigieg is an incredible messenger for the Democrats. MAGA Republicans always want to attack him, which I always think is a mistake. But I do want to point out in this video as well, though, the narrative that is pushed by the large media networks and this whole narrative about East Palestine, a narrative that's created by right-wing disinformation echo chambers and then basically perpetuated by large media networks that are just lazy. It reminds me a lot about the red wave narrative. And the media wants to tell us this is how we are supposed to feel. That we're supposed to feel that Biden and Buttigieg has let everybody down by not getting there immediately and not doing everything the right way. And Donald Trump shows up there with a dozen pallets of water, which, by the way, just so you know what a pallet is, it's 2,888 bottles of water. It basically costs $450 to $550. So about $5,000 worth of water. And the media wants to perpetuate that narrative, that fascist performative narrative, and not hold truth to power that in reality, this is a situation where the arsonist, Donald Trump, is showing up at the fire. He's decimated the fire department and he's chucking hamburgers and waters at people. And the large media networks are trying to say, oh, Biden did something wrong. I mean, just to remind you, President Biden immediately reached out to Governor DeWine, a Republican governor of Ohio, saying, what can we do to help? And this is what DeWine said. Look, DeWine had a press conference. Here's what DeWine said. Immediately, Biden offered help. Here, play this clip.
Look, the president called me and said, anything you need. I have not called him back after that conversation. I will not hesitate to do that if we're seeing a problem or anything, but I'm not seeing it.
And I want to talk about the facts here for a moment when large media networks don't like to talk about the facts. But here's the thing. During the Trump administration, there were 5,103 train derailments in the United States. Neither Trump nor Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, who Trump now attacks, went to a single one of these derailments. During the Trump administration, there were 44,360 train accidents, with many resulting in fatalities. Again, to none of these did Trump go. During the Trump administration, there were 58,920 transportation-related hazardous waste leaks, spills, resulting in 26 deaths and dozens of additional injuries, and Trump ignored them all. Neither Trump nor Elaine Chao went to a single one of these accident aftermaths either. It also doesn't appear as though FEMA was called in for any of these disasters. So while Republicans don't say a word, heard. They now have their fake outrage machine go into action and attack Biden and Buttigieg, who have offered Ohio everything. And as you saw in the video I just played of DeWine, they rejected it, and finally they accepted it. And then Trump goes in and goes, the reason they accepted it is because of me. I'm the one who fixed it. No, you didn't. And the media needs to think about these things and report accurately on what is going on. But I do think the people get it. I do think the people of Ohio, and I think that there are some who will be swayed by the propaganda, but I do think that they will say, wait a minute, what's really going on here? Now, large media networks need to tell the truth, but we'll tell the truth here, what's going on here. So this is Donald Trump during his presidency around 2017, 2018, at a performative ribbon cutting ceremony where he brags about removing the regulations. And one such regulation is ultimately the regulation that led to this train derailment. The Obama administration had put in place regulations to deal with train safety and to deal with having important braking features on trains that carry hazardous waste. And Donald Trump overturned those. That was a major important part of their administration. Here, let's play this performative ribbon cutting. Play this clip.
When Americans are free to thrive, innovate, and prosper, there is no challenge too great, no task too large, and no goal beyond our reach. We are a nation of explorers and pioneers and innovators and inventors, and regulations have been hurting that and hurting it badly. We are a nation of people who work hard, dream big, and who never ever give up. We are Americans, and the future belongs to us. So together, let's cut the red tape. Let's set free our dreams, and yes, let's make America great again. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by getting rid of a lot of unnecessary regulation. Thank you very much. Thank you. Come on over here, Chris. Come on over here. Why don't we all gather around? Come on. You're all such a big part of this. Come on. I think we can all make it. So this is what we have now. This is where we were in 1960. And when we're finished, which won't be in too long a period of time, we will be less than where we were in 1960, and we will have a great regulatory climate. Okay? Come on up here, Chris. Come on. You work so hard on this. Elaine, are you okay? Come on.
Yep.
You okay?
Yep, fine.
She has a lot to do with it. She has things called roads. That's a big, and bridges, right?
Yes.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Maybe this should go to Chris, right?
And here's the clip just where the media talks about a dozen or so pallets. And you now know the math. One pallet, 2,880 bottles of water. So about a dozen pallets, basically $5,700, $6,000 is what Donald Trump contributed. But let's play this clip right here with the media network saying it's about a dozen pallets. Here, play this clip.
Trump, who is running in next year's presidential election, met with community members and local officials to get an update on cleanup efforts on the ground. As part of his visit, he also donated more than a dozen pallets of water and cleaning supplies.
Here's the Trump tweet where Trump says, "I'm continuing to get rid of costly and unnecessary regulations. Much work left to do, but effect will be great. Business and jobs will grow." That's from August 3rd, 2017, around the time of the press conference you saw. And then September 24th, 2018, here's a headline from Fortune. Trump rolls back train braking rule meant to keep tanker from exploding near communities. Again, this was Trump rolling back very, very, very important Obama administration policies that were put in place to directly address this. And let's talk about Ohio. You got a GOP governor, a GOP Senate, a GOP House. The train derailed in a GOP county. The train CEO is a GOP donor. The GOP governor burned chemicals causing the disaster, and the GOP governor refused to declare a disaster and refused to return President Biden's call. And then the previous GOP presidential administration under Trump Trump overturned the regulations that would have prevented this from happening. But sure, it's all the Democrats' fault, according to the media. No, you have to focus on what is taking place here critically. And look, Trump shows up. And what does he talk about? He goes, I'm giving you thousands of bottles of water. Here's the water. Here, play this clip of Donald Trump.
Especially thank some of the incredible people that helped us, because we're bringing thousands of bottles of water, Trump water, actually, most of it. Some of it we had to go to a much lesser quality water. You want to get those Trump bottles, I think, more than anybody else. But we're bringing a lot of water, thousands of bottles.
And here's Donald Trump saying at a McDonald's, I know this recipe better than you. I know the specials better than you. Specials, McDonald, what are you talking about? Here, play this clip.
So I know this menu better than you do. Okay? I probably know it better than anybody in here.
And here's the thing. Again, as I mentioned at the outset of the video, what we have to be cautious of is the same thing that we need to be cautious of with the red wave narrative. And what you have happen is you have the media. First, you have the right-wing media fuel the outrage machine, and then the other large media networks, the both sides, they don't know what to do. They're like helpless in it. And if I have one critique for the Biden administration right now, the critique that I would have is that you have to know that media is totally broken. So the way to rebut the propaganda, which here looks remarkably like Putin propaganda. And so what did Zelensky do to rebut Putin propaganda? You got to get ahead of it. You have to know and predict, and it is fairly and easily predictable what the MAGA Republican next moves are going to be. They're going to call it woke. They're going to blame you. So you have to go out before they do it. And you have to say, here is what they are going to do. The same way Zelensky said, this is what the propaganda is. Here are the lies. And then he was one step ahead of the propaganda. Democrats, pro-democracy needs to do that. I know it sounds like a ridiculous exercise, but you have to call out the propaganda before the propaganda even starts. But as you saw, when I go through all of the stats about train derailments and what was going on under Trump, those are the facts. And you just got to get in front of the facts here. And look, I thought Buttigieg pushing back was important. I thought Buttigieg did a very great job there. And I think the narrative will adjust to what's accurate as the facts continue to come out. But we can't just be hopeless. Like we're the solution together. We need to make sure the truth is out. We can't hope that large media networks are going to have a magic wand and fix it. They've showed the exact opposite, but we'll get the truth out, just like we're doing right here. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1 million subscribers thanks to your incredible support. So hit subscribe now. It's free to subscribe, and check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Until next time, I'm Ben Meiselas.
Our blue wall stopped the red wave and election deniers got denied election. That's why we're celebrating with the new Democracy Prevails team. We've got lots of work to do, but we should all be proud that when democracy was tested, democracy prevailed. You've earned this. Don't wait. Get yours right now at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.